Hi, my Vice Astrology Tribe, Cosmic Inside Astrology. I am your co-pilot, Christina. Today, November 4th, and as I was reading the news, Dick Cheney died. He was a Republican president, vice president, sorry. And then also we have the election in New York, and this is really pivotal. This is going to change a lot of life. Let's say that. All right, I'm not talking about the ones who going to go for the election because I don't want to, but I want to talk about Uranus and Mars opposition today because it's something, it's a very, very evil energy, guys, right? And 2 days ago, actually, when I was reading the news, I actually was reading about in England, there was a man who actually injured 14 people with knife. That is very, very personal. That is deeply evil, I can't even actually talk about how evil it is. All right. But we're going to talk about the Uranus-Mars opposition. Remember, 2024, when we had Uranus and Mars conjunction in Taurus, actually, and it happened on Algol, which was Trump's midheaven also, and it squared with his ascendant, and it also squared with his Mars. He got shot in the ear. And I told you guys that in January 2024, he will be attacked somehow. Was it staged? Wasn't it staged? Who staged it? I already mentioned that previously in my videos, right? Because we were talking about also asteroids, and I showed you guys there was an asteroid progress. Israel actually was on his midheaven and it's still on for years. All right. I just wanted to say that to you guys. All right. However, Uranus and Mars, and we're going to talk about actually what does it mean, what kind of, how can it unfold for you, for example, and a little bit of mundane astrology as well. So I just want to say the importance of to stay safe right now because of, as you know, what does it mean? What does Mars mean for us? Mars is drive, action, conflict, and race, guys. Mars is actually aggression, not only ambition, courage, and action, and competition or sexuality, because Mars rules the first house in Aries, and it also rules the eighth house, Scorpio. That is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, right? So there is sexuality. There is actually anger, aggressiveness, exertion, anything to do with wars. So, yes, Mars is actually an initiative energy, a survival instinct, which is, we need it. Obviously, it's impulsiveness, it's the drive, when you want to do, you want to take action, but it's also revenge, it's also rage as well. And, it rules your head in medical astrology. And when we are checking the body and the head, it's also rules your muscles, your blood as well. It's also rules testosterones and injuries, infections, inflammation. It's also adrenaline spike or high blood pressure spike as well. It's also use wounds like cuts and gun wounds, for example, and surgical instruments or surgeries as well. In the mundane world, Mars rules wars, military, anything to do with police, with firefighter, mostly first responders, anything to do with violence, and also because it's opposing Uranus, it's protest, but it's aggressive protest, and it's opposing Uranus, it's also explosion. But Mars itself, it's martial law as well, anything to do with metal industry and physical labor, definitely physical conflict as well, right? In the financial world, it is military contract, it is anything to do with the athletic leagues, for example, right? Anything to do with emergency services, it is the ERs, right? When it's opposing Uranus, there might be like an explosion or some nuclear situation where we're going to have, or some kind of virus which is neurological, but we're going to talk about that later. anything to do with law enforcement. So it's rules in America right now, the troops, the eyes on the street, surgeons, mechanics. Also, because of its athletic, it's bodybuilder, it's anything to do with any kind of sport league and construction workers as well. And then on the market and market trading, it does rules actually iron and weapons and anything to do with precious metals as well. It is the conflict zone. And Mars is volatility market, so up and down, right? Because it's spiking, just like it spikes your blood pressure, it's spiking the market as well. And we use, because Mars is a personal planet, we use that actually for short sellings. If you want to do short-term trading or swing trading, for example, it is hostile takeover. So you will hear a lot about settlers in West Bank right now. They're gonna be very, very violent and hostile. We're going to have a lot of picture out about, the recent conflict in Europe, like Russia and Ukraine, and also with the Middle East area over there, and the rapes, because Mars is also about anything to do with sexual abuse as well. And it is also like Uranus definitely something to do with, because Uranus is exalted in Scorpio, right? So Scorpio rules the market. Mars actually rules Scorpio. That's the traditional ruler. It's opposing, so definitely the market going to get crazy right now. And I would think something to do with some kind of fast breakouts, anything to do with some kind of viruses, which could be neurological, mad cold disease, something like that. It could be also something to do with weapon manufacturers actually on market. So anything to do with Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, right? I told you guys, the UN already want to put in $1 trillion to defense. And that's representing they want to have more war, right? So if there is no such a thing like what is that ceasefire in Middle East, it is just not happening. And that is those are the the market on the stock, which is going to actually become and go spiking higher. And also anything to do with speculative businesses and bold moves, because it is risk. It's taking risk. Taking risk is the fifth house, and fifth house ruled by the sun in astrology. Mars loves the sun. They are buddies. The sun actually loves to be in the first house where Mars ruler, right? So they are Mars is the little brother of the sun, obviously. So it's representing anything to do with risk or sport leaks, could be some kind of issue during this time. And when we are talking about Uranus, Uranus is an outer planet, guys. Uranus is not only innovation or disruption, but also it's rebellion as well. And Uranus in psychological and personal area representing something to do with your individuality, something to do with your genius. Uranus is the genius. That is because it rules the autistic people. It rules the spectrum who are like crazy geniuses over there. It is also detachment. It rules the 11th house in astrology and co-rules with Saturn. But Uranus also the rebel, the awakener, right? Uranus has the kind of erotic behavior that is it's almost like the psychopath or neurological issue. Uranus also liberate, right? Uranus is totally unpredictable, just like the eclipses, right? It is also doesn't want to confront as well. So Uranus rules your nervous system, so neurological issues, anything to do with electric shocks, anything to do with lightning, like lightning strikes as well. It is spasm, shaking or seizure. So any kind of trauma or sudden illness it's representing, and also anxiety and detachment from the body. I mean, I'm saying like a lot of people could experience, for example, uh, near death experience, right? So with that kind of opposition, they might going to come back, obviously, and talk about that, but because of its detachment from the body, it could actually appear for a lot. And in mundane perspective, guys, anything to do with, let me have my pacifier over here, which is which is shuffling cards, and I'm doing the angel cards. So nothing about negativeness because it's enough and it's heavy subject again. But in mundane, it is anything to do with AI or space exploration, internet, electric grids, for example, cyber attacks, cyber warfare, and hacking, right? Surveillance. So listen, guys, right now we are having issues with surveillances and we are having issues with cyber warfare as well. There is some kind of ethical and moral reliability, how to use AI, but right now you can see the Palantir, right? Peter Thiel that really wants to have surveillance on everyone. I was watching Jimmy Dore yesterday, and he was actually talking about, like how they going to actually check your Facebook pages. They do it a long time. They have camera. They can turn on the cameras on your phone. They can have all your password, Palantir, all your bank account. So, be careful because it could be something to do like your bank account going to be hacked, and that's what I think we're going to also bypass bankings, guys, because of bank is not going to be, and online banking might not going to be also an option for us, but definitely paper money not gonna be an option. We're moving forward to gold. Um, uh, how do you call that? Gold currency. Like that's gonna be the base of the currency right now. Oh, I forget the word again. But yes. So as I said, make sure you are not relying on your retirement money and you invest in somewhere, and we're going to bypass bank and we're going to go crypto. But I love tangible things and I like silver and gold and coins, especially because if something happening, you're still going to be able to pay for that for your life if you have to, escape any kind of area. I don't know where do you live. But like I'm talking about global situation, mundane situation over here. So definitely, it could be something to do with cryptocurrency and in finances and electric vehicles, something to do with the scientists as well. And Uranus is actually the anarchist. Uranus Mars opposition or Uranus Mars conjunction, which we're gonna have next year, 2026, July 4, on American 250th birthday. Guess what's gonna happen? Civil war. Yes, you're right. I just always, when Uranus and Mars is in hard aspect, the opposition is Saturnian in favor. I always think about the one of my favorite movie though. It's the Joker, the anarchy, what's happening on the streets. And that's what I see actually. So this is a very explosive energy over here. It's freedom. It's fighting for freedom. It's prison breakouts, for example. It's anything to do with cyber attacks. It's anything to do with nuclear wars, for example. Anything to do with tragic earthquake. Uranus is shaking. It's not only seizure in your body, but it's also representing shaking the world, shaking the financial market. And it's also representing, for example, earthquake and shocking, very, very like on the scale, it's not a 7.8 magnitude, but 9.2 magnitude kind of earthquake, right? It is eruption. It is some kind of leaking of the nuclear powerhouses. It could create some kind of nuclear war. And right now it's opposing in 0 degree Sagittarius and 0 degree Libra. So actually being and fighting for freedom of speech, because in what is that, not Libra, in Gemini it is the speech, and in Sagittarius it is something to do with freedom. Uranus anyway, it's freedom. So we also going to be hacked and YouTube channels going to disappear. It's already happening with me for a long time when my videos are not showed. But many people I heard, their views went down uh, two-thirds or something like that, even if they have huge followers. So that's when I have happened. And because Gemini is news, it is shocking news, leaking shocking news, exploding shocking news, right? Which is somehow going to liberate us, right? But also it could give us more anxiety as well. And yes, that it's going to be a lot of earthquake, guys. And as I said, because of Uranus rules the 11th house. 11th house is anything to do with our network as well, anything to do with political activism as well, humanitarian work. So definitely you will see some kind of online warfare as well, some kind of new political movement, some kind of new political activism. As I said, New York has a big day today. Uh, Also because the 11th house also idealism and detachment and weirdness and future thinking. We will and social justice. 11th house is also court system, court house and justice system as well, right? So it is going to obviously bring in some kind of social justice, but we will have to rebel first. We will have to fight for it. It could be also because of, as I said, it's dopamine issues. It's something to do with anxiety, especially because of it is going to go and adrenaline, because Mars is spiking adrenaline as well. So testosterone, for example, a lot of men, you will feel like they are on testosterone shots and they're gonna have a side effect. Right now, we can have some kind of news out like, all right, all the testosterone shot, the 40 years old and 30 taking and 50, they are having a neurological side effect. They're gonna have seizures from it, some kind of issue with neurology, right? And the Uranus actually also rules the ankle as well. So there could be some kind of issues with Achilles heel. Is like a wounds, kind of some kind of issue with tendons, for example. But also because of 11th house is detachment and social isolation, that could be like a lot of people won't be able to go to the streets because there are protests all over and they will be scared. So many people going to be really, really scared. Mm. But definitely, I think there could be something to do with an other shot, for example, like threatening a person who is fighting for liberation or who has a voice and want to liberate the public. So there could be multiple people who are going to be shot and silenced. For example, it could be, as I said, public execution as well, right? Because that's what it is about. It is something to do with explosion. So yeah, there is going to be a lot of explosion right now. And it's not necessarily literal, but it could be symbolic, like explosion, because of we cannot stay silent anymore, and because of the speeches over there, there will be a lot of people who are going to be like, all right, we have to fight no matter what. I cannot take this anymore. My voice has to be heard. Right, so it could be definitely that kind of, but I would think because Uranus also could be something to do with neurological issue. Some of the speaker who are actually saying the truth, they're going to be stemmed to be like psychotic or mental ill, right? Kanye West was always labeled like he has an issue with mania and depression, like bipolar, but not necessarily, because right now I started to learn about him and read about him, and it has a very, very deep. So just read about Kanye, okay? And they might going to be actually blamed for, okay, they are not reliable, not reasonable. Maybe somebody is winning the elections, but somehow they're going to say, okay, actually the person cannot take, a public seat or role because of there was some kind of mental situation, a mental breakdown before, like, right? And then they have to sign off. I don't know, maybe Kennedy gonna be the one because he said he had, parasites in his head, and it's affected his cravings and like his mental health and also his health in general. And parasite does affect. So absolutely, and everybody has parasites, guys. But maybe that could be something like that. Oh yes, he has to resign because of he is not reliable because he had some kind of issues like that before. But definitely, I would think because of Mars rules the first house and the eighth house, there could be a pandemic and outbreak, something to do with, brain, some kind of neurological. That's why I said medical disease, right? Because of Uranus also, you always have to check Uranus position. So it's rules Aquarius, right? But also it is in fall in Taurus, and Taurus rules the middle and rules the coast, right? As well, the beef. So obviously there could be, so that's how I put together things. So it could be something like that. But definitely in finances, it's going to be like cryptocurrency up and down. Anyway, Uranus is gonna go back November 7th to its fall position in Taurus. And anyway, in Vedic, it's still in Taurus, so for a long time. So, there is going to be some kind of major issue with the crypto bird, right? And I told you guys there is going to be a major pullback, but then after when Uranus gonna go to Gemini again, April 25th, 2026, it's going to be a significant rise. So right now you're going to be able to buy in. Also, there is market manipulation with Saturn and Neptune next year, but I'm gonna do the videos soon. So by end of the week, you're going to have all the 2026 videos out. Actually, I'm gonna do a huge one and long one. But so I wanted to talk about that. So definitely it could bring in a lot of migraines, headache. We can have some kind of solar flare. Oh my God, it could bring in airplane crashes. And you know what I was reading right now? We have like 300 less controller a day or even more because of we have government shutdown and also the airplane controllers. So actually, I would think we're going to have a lot of airplane crashes, guys. So I'm not traveling anywhere during this time, no matter what. But yeah, it could create that kind of situation or some kind of accident. The missile is up and there is a commercial airplane, or not commercial, but like taking regular people and then somehow it's going to shut them. Yeah, so definitely, but military airplane, military drones going to be evolved. There is going to be an attack somewhere with a lot of military drones. Right now we do have, for example, drones. In Florida, they're doing beautiful drone shows. It's almost like fireworks, but they don't use, fireworks. And I wanted to go, but right now I was like, no, thank you. I'm not going in any group setup right now. But even lately in America, when I get out and going to shop somewhere, I get out from my car, I look around in the parking lots, right? And unfortunately, that's the reality. And I tell my boys, all right, if anything happens, you have actually a gunshot or you hear it, run back to the meat produce. Stay low and run back. We're gonna meet over there. Don't look for me. Run right away because there is a door outside and just run in the back. So that's how I get out, and that's what I tell them. And I tell them every single day, don't be a hero. I don't want to have a pledge from someone, like you saved somebody's life because they were cuckoo or they were like made bad decisions and you put your life first. I don't want that. That's it. That's done. So I keep telling them because they are very, very compassionate boys, and I know they would, be anyway like helping everyone. And it is coming just very general for my family. It is just, you know, me too. I am the same. So if I see something right away, I help. It's so automatic, it's instinct. And I always help, and them as well, my husband as well. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't even know. We are like this, right? But a lot of people would never put their life, they wouldn't give a F, to help others. But okay, so make sure you stay low. Okay, make sure if you invest, don't panic if you invested because right now it's going to be a huge back pull over here, but it is it is going to come back after 2025. And if you didn't enter the market, it will be good to enter the market right now and also in February. All right, guys, let me see what's going to go on for you. For example, Aries rising, Sun and Moon. So it's actually going to happen in your third and the ninth house. That is something to do with your electric vehicle, with your driving, with your flying. So, or sisters, or I mean, your siblings could get in dangers, for example. But also, it could be a car accident. It could be something with a hip surgery, maybe some kind of hip inflammation. Maybe you can have a fatty liver or some kind of hepatitis. It could actually, because ninth house is also liver, so bring in some kind of infection over there. So this is very, very intense energy, guys. All right, it's just like we have to make sure we actually prevent what I'm talking about here, right? Taurus rising, Sun and Moon, it's going to happen actually in your second and eighth house. This is financial for you, Tauruses. You might going to lose a job. You might going to have like you have to pay a lot more taxes what you paid before, so you have an audition, and then you're going to be have to pay more. Or it could be something with inheritance. Someone dies and you get inheritance, but obviously you are not happy about that. It could be traumatic. It could be also losing a job, losing an income for you. It could be also, you will need to pay for some kind of detective because you had actually something with hacking or identity theft. So, and it could bring on also surgery, maybe on your neck, something to do with your thyroid, what you need to be careful with. All right. Or if you have some kind of testosterone situation, it could make you actually really aggressive. Maybe you're taking steroids or testosterone and you are very brutally honest, but actually you are rude. So be careful not to hurt others. Then we have Gemini rising Sun and Moon, so it's gonna happen in your first house. So definitely, it's affecting either your Sun, Moon, or rising, right? And your significant other or business partner. There could be a huge fight, which is going to actually lead to divorce later on. And it starts like a verbal conflict, but it could get to physical. Then it could be also like already you suing your business partner because of somebody stealing from you, and also there is a fight between you and your business partner. It could bring in somebody suing you because you said something on social media and one of your followers, subscriber, whatever, because seventh house is a subscription from YouTube channel or Twitter or whatever, social media, and they can sue you. So be careful with that, right? Yes, definitely your voice could be an issue over here. You can have a sore throat, you can have strep throat, things like that. So careful, or your significant other actually could get in danger somehow. And it's Uranus and Mars, it could be a neurological issue for your significant other. Cancer rising, Sun and Moon, it's going to happen in your 12 and 6th house. So that is definitely something to do with your health, anything to do with, like maybe it could be overdose in this situation. So careful, even with alcohol, because it could be alcohol poisoning. It could be something to do with a seizure. Maybe it's a side effect or a medication. Actually, yesterday I wanted to have, finally, I decided to do that. Tablets, but I wanted to have oral to lose weights, right? And I was like, I'm done with it. And then when I signed up, I was reading the side effect. It could have seizures and kidney cancer and whatever. And I was like, okay, I need back my money. So careful if you take any kind of new kind of medication, because it could bring in some kind of neurological issue. It could bring in something because of um, the sixth house also, it's in Sagittarius, which is liberation, which is something to do with, obviously, with your also limbic system is Gemini, could be as well Mercury, right? So something to do with maybe you have a vertigo and you are dizzy all the time. So careful with that kind of situation. You can actually have some kind of flare up from autoimmune disease, which is Lyme disease or anything to do with Epstein-Barr, something hidden. So go to the doctor, have a second opinion. Right? All right. Then Leo rising sun and moon is going to happen in your 11th and 5th house. Definitely, it is something to do with investment. You were a daredevil. You risk a lot of money. It could be you gamble $200,000 overnight, or you put $1 million or something because you heard, if you buy this horse, it's going to be bring in millions, and somehow the horse has some kind of issue with the hip or neurological issue and it's not racing anymore. But in general, it could bring in some kind of major fight with your friends. Maybe they are criticizing your child, or maybe you go to an event and your child is actually not behaving, have a tantrum, or have some kind of major rebellion issues, and your circle, your social circle, your friendships are like going to actually decline any invitation, and you're going to be on your own. So you're not gonna be invited because of a child could be there as well. Yes, but on the other hand, it is a huge fight. Or also in social media, you might going to get some kind of trolls, but definitely it could be big investment loss. Virgo rising sun and moon is going to happen in your 10th and 4th house. Well, it is family issues, guys. You might going to have to work a lot, and right now your family is missing you, or your family is not supporting your job. Maybe you are what is that, Mars, like something to do with sexuality. So OnlyFans person, and your mother or father find it out, and they're going to be very upset and they want to disown you, or like you are selling feet pictures for feet fetish people, and I'm laughing over here because, guys, I'm working so hard, and financially no rewards. I'm writing, I'm doing everything, I have clients, whatever, but it's always like, oh my god, are you kidding me? With OnlyFans you can make that much money, like 1 million a month. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna have an OnlyFans page because of I'm fat, right? And I won't have it. And I was like, maybe I can have a feet fetish. Right. So, you can have something like that, but somehow your family going to disown you, guys. If you have a Virgo rising sun and moon, or it could be some kind of issue with electricity in your home. So the electricity can get on fire. So you have to check the outlets, something like that, because that could be, or the kitchen stove gets on fire. Check the heating, the radiator, or things like that, it could explode. So something to do with explosion, right? With the house. So be very careful. Libra rising sun and moon, it's going to happen actually. Uh, your ninth and third house. Yes. Okay. So that is very similar. Okay. So the ninth and third house, something to do actually with obviously with traveling, with fighting with a sibling, a younger sibling, right? Your airplane has to have an emergency landing. It could be something to do with your car, something not the wires in your car. When you are speeding, it's somehow it's dangerous. So be careful with that. When you are driving, don't speed because it could create danger for you. Yeah. Hmm. Definitely could be a fight with a neighbor, or maybe it could be also a dog bite in the neighborhood. So careful with that as well. Scorpio rising sun and moon, it's going to happen in your eighth and second house. All right. That is financial for you as well. Something to do with stock market, something to do with tax reform, something to do with, uh, medical malpractice, maybe. you had to sue. Maybe you will have to sue actually a doctor because you had an elective surgery or a surgery and they did some kind of, you know, malpractice and you will have to go to court. Or actually, you could have lost a family member through medical malpractice, and that's why you are have to go to court right now, and you have to fight. But also because of it could bring in for ectopic pregnancy, careful ladies, because it could bring in some kind of ectopic pregnancy. Also, it could be, yeah, something to do with food poisoning. Second house is food, and Mars is over there, and Uranus is in Gemini. Yeah, it could be some kind of food poisoning, which could create some kind of neurological issues, right? So that could be that, but definitely financially, it could be like, wow, wow, it's very volatile. It's something to do with careful with your money, careful with scams, careful with your bank account. Check your credit card every single day. Somebody can buy a car because Gemini is a car on your credit and store your identity. All right, Sagittarius rising, sun and moon, just like me, guys. It's going to happen actually in our first house and seventh house, something to do with our significant other. If they are speeding, we have to slow them down because they can have an accident. Also, it could be a huge fight with a significant other as well. Like maybe about education because both of them, Gemini and Sagittarius, is education, maybe about, like something to do with like one of you are brutally honest and the other one can't take criticism, for example. It could be also one of you are having social media presence and, saying something and it can be sued somehow, and your significant other going to be very upset what you are posting online, for example. And it could be also something to do, like, for example, you want to claim more space for yourself and also financially, because it's Uranus and Mars, you will feel like, you know what, I don't want you to depend on me that much, or you don't want to be codependent, and that kind of situation going to come up and going to be the base of the issue over here. But definitely it could bring in also a huge argument which could lead to divorce. Capricorn rising, sun and moon is going to happen actually your 6th and your 12th house. There is some kind of thyroid issue, thyroid storm, anything to do with your vocal cord, anything to do with respiratory illness, perhaps a pneumonia, perhaps some kind of, but thyroid storm could come with dizziness and shaking. So be careful with thyroid. It could be like there is some kind of hidden illness, which could be a autoimmune disease, which is grave disease, or Hashimoto, and you don't know it yet. And right now you're going to get diagnosed. It could be also like somebody is passing and you will need to be there in hospice, or somebody is in the hospital because get a car accident, something like that, and you will need to hold their hand. You will need to be and present, going back and forth to doctors and hospitals. It could be also for you, there could be a hidden issue. Maybe the hormonal issue also creating a frozen shoulder or hip sensitivity and some kind of neurological issue in the hip, because that's what that it does, and it's definitely that kind of area for you guys. So it's flaring up a frozen shoulder or a hip issue. So careful with that. But also it could represent like, yeah, you will have an injury over there. Okay, and it could bring in hepatitis as well. So Aquarius rising sun and moon is going to happen actually your 11th and 5th house. It is something to do with your social circle, with the money from your career. So you've been promised to have a promotion, but someone else got it, and you're going to get infuriated and fight for yourself. It could be also like you've been promised to get into a league, which is a big sport team, and somehow they choose someone to be the captain, and then you're going to fight as well. If you are a sport person, it could be like actually if you're doing something to do with horseback riding, anything to do with hockey, or like sticks, it could be like on the field you're going to start to to fight. So it could be like soccer team, baseball, or players gonna start to hit each others. So if you are in a league, it could be that as well. If you are part of a very, very big VIP country club or something like that, there would be a huge, you know, um, like infection breakout, or it could be a fight. When you go to an event in a country club, in a huge club, and then people starts to fight or shooting over there, and like that it's not only it's gonna start like a verbal conflict, but it could go to physical. Your social presence has to be careful, I know, with that, because you can get a lot of troll, or you might going to actually get into a situation where it's a huge fight going to explode on social media account, on your Facebook account, on anywhere. So careful with that. All right. Pisces rising sun and moon, my beautiful Pisces rising sun and moon, it's going to happen in your fourth and 10th house. That's your career, guys, and your home situation. There could be something to do with, like you need to get in an older person in your home, and maybe your husband or wife going to bring in their parents, and you didn't agree with that, and there is going to be a lot of fight with that because of that older parent is creating tension between you. It could be also you have to fight for an inheritance, for example, because of fourth house could be that as well. It could be also like something to do with your house. Maybe you didn't see when you signed the papers, the house title is not clear and it been sold to someone. It could be actually they selling your house without your knowledge, or you bought a house but the land is not yours, and right now you're going to be in conflict, and it could be something to do with legal matters because of the house. It could be also you need to move right away because of your work. Is offering you a position, but it's very uncomfortable, your family, and they're going to fight, or you have to leave your family behind, you are going on your own, and it's going to bring in a lot of tension and fights between you two. As I said, careful with electric wires, careful with your fireplace, careful with your kitchen stove, careful with anything what can get on fire, something to do, put smoke alarm in the house, and carbon monoxide alarm also, please, guys, during this time. Some kind of explosion, check the gas stove, definitely, because it could explode right now. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had to deliver this freaking terrible reading for you guys, but I want you to make sure you are safe. And it starts today. It's already started 2 days ago, but the influence going to be here, guys, because of then Mars and and Uranus going to conjunct again in 2025. So actually, it is more like 2 weeks, but by the end, it's going to be something to do with even half a year or 8 months. But the next 2 weeks, be very, very careful. That's what I wanted to say. All right, thank you so much for listening and caring and subscribing and sharing. I see you soon. Bye for now.